Welcome to season 2 of the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, master biohacker and successful entrepreneur. In season 1 of the Energy Upgrade, you got to have a taste for my obsession in all things health, energy, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and biohacking, or how to take radical responsibility in living a life by design. As a certified health coach, integrated health practitioner, kinesiologist, and seasoned entrepreneur who built and sold a 7-figure business, I want to dive deeper in this season 2. After healing myself from burnout, from my health falling apart, my hormones leaving my body, I'm here to share everything I wish someone had told me. Every day, I have the incredible opportunity to be mentoring women and supporting them in becoming true magnetic energy bombs. I'm helping them remember who they were all along. It's so powerful that I want to take you in on the journey, almost as if you were a fly on the wall. You'll find that I'm not your typical health coach, and I'm not your typical business coach either. I'm somewhere in between with a lot of spirituality sprinkled in there. This podcast is a sacred place where I come and share with you things that will bring you a high return on investment, because yes, I'm all about ROI. Life goes fast, and if I can show you a shortcut or two, I'll have succeeded at bringing you value. Thank you for being here. Let's go.
Your time is now. Your energy is your life force. You want to be able to magnetize your wildest dreams. A liver detox is the fastest way to start healing. You can and you will.
Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade. I'm so happy you're here once again. And today we have such a powerful guest coming on the show. I am so excited to bring you Courtney Thomas. Courtney, also known as the Bodhi Effect online. Courtney and I have been in each other's orbit for over a year now, kind of like cheering on each other, looking at what we're both doing. But we actually had our first official get-together / conversation right here. And this is what you're about to hear. Now, we went on and on before recording and after recording because the minute we started talking, it was like we had known each other forever. There was just this deep connection. We both work very intuitively. And so for us to come together was just a beautiful moment. So let me tell you a little bit more about Courtney because you are in for a treat. Courtney is based in BC and she is an intuitive mindfulness coach with over 10 years of experience. She specializes in guiding individuals back to their highest selves through personalized coaching, transformative workshops, courses, and retreats. And she combines diverse practices to unlock human potential and inspire a renewed sense of purpose. Her mission is for everyone to experience the full, authentic expression of themselves, lighting up the world with their unique presence. To date, she's empowered over 500 clients with her effective mindfulness technique. Now you're going to see that her and I, we're jamming. Like we're going to be talking about how to light up your soul, how to connect with it, how to figure out what are your gifts. We're also going to talk about the chaos that it brings when we start unfolding that. And we're also talking about what happened in April because we shared how we both experienced this as well, witnessed it in our clients, how powerful and potent this eclipse energy and this Mercury retrograde and all the things that happened in April, how it was unprecedented. And created a lot of internal chaos for many of the clients that we both support. So now this conversation is going to be truly a gift for your heart. I strongly invite you to not listen with your head, but listen to with your soul and with your body. So notice any resistance, notice any tingling, notice anything that might be happening in your body, goosebumps, because they are an indication that there's something that inside of you that remembers part of this conversation. So go in, not with your head, with your heart. And I hope you'll enjoy as much as we had fun recording this. Let's go. Courtney, thank you so much for being here with me. It's such a pleasure to finally have us connected and having this conversation. I'm so excited.
I know, I feel the same way. I've just been hearing so much about you through people I work with and seeing your work, and I'm honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. Yeah, I feel like it's just been a long time coming, and here we are reuniting, remembering. And that
Yes.
is kind of the intention for today, right? Is to help women that are listening remember. That's the theme. And maybe we could start by, how did you remember? Because you have some pretty amazing gifts and you listened to them eventually, but it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That is what it's felt like. It's felt like there's always been these nudges. There's always been this feeling inside of me to really listen to what feels deeply aligned for my soul. And over the last, I would say, 10 years, really, I've answered the call. I've answered the call, even though most of the time it's scaring the daylights out of me because we are wired that there is this idea of failure. But when I break out of that system and I really lean into trusting my intuition and listening to my soul's perspective, that's why I'm ending up talking to you today. I know that. So, a little bit about how I got here. Um, I feel like we're born intuitive beings. We have this powerful intuition. And my parents always tell really funny stories about me as a kid having this really deep intuition. And I would talk about like my past life, or I would spend a lot of time alone. And I had this tree across my street that I would like sit in for hours and just journal. And I had, imaginary friends and like imaginary world. And then as I got older, all that went away, right? We start to really live our life in this judgment system that society instills in us that tells us whether or not we're enough in the world. And anyone who knew me as a teenager or even into my early 20s knew that like I lived up to it. I really checked off a lot of these boxes as to thinking that if I were to get this thing, have this thing, achieve this thing, then I would feel like I'm enough in the world. I think a lot of us, because of the noise in the world is so loud, there's a lot of easy ways to distract ourselves and take ourselves out of the present moment that we start living our lives for other people instead of ourselves. And
Mhm.
so I know that's a vague way of explaining kind of where I was at, but I was working for a worldwide cosmetic company in this executive role, and I was climbing the ladder, and I was really living my life in a linear perspective. So essentially, it was like, okay, when I graduate, then I'm going to find the man and get married and have the house and have this executive role. And I was going to make this kind of money and have kids, and I was going to live happily ever after. And a lot of those things are still existing in my life. I'm still married. I have this beautiful family. And yet there was this part of me that was really ignoring what was my truth. And my truth was this practice, this what you're seeing with me now as being an intuitive mindfulness coach. And it's evolved over time, but I knew that I had a gift in holding space for people. I knew that the present moment was the gateway to happiness. And I watched so many beings, especially in the company that I was with, or the industry that I was in, that again, we're just living our life super far into the future, stuck in the past, and there's so much suffering going on in the world. So I knew that I had a voice in it. I knew I could make a change and an impact in people's life. So I started with my role in my company was working with my clients when I would meet with their teams is just offering these mindfulness workshops. And the news spread really fast, and I started to work with a lot of different clients and a lot of their employees, and people were talking. And then that work spread really quickly into offering these mindfulness workshops with other organizations. And after people in these organizations would hear me talk, they wanted to work with me one on one. And that one on one work turned into this intuitive mindfulness coaching. So essentially, I will sit down with humans, and often it's over Zoom, sometimes it's in person, and I do an intuitive chakra reading. So I'll read your chakras, which are your energy systems that exist in the body. And they hold deep emotions, they hold deep talents, they hold so many experiences that you have in your life. And so I'll receive this boundless insight into what you have experienced here in this lifetime. And after the reading, which is usually incredibly accurate, I've never really been told I've been wrong before. We go
Wow.
right into tools. And so I don't leave you hanging. I really go into tools, and that's why oftentimes people will want to work with me more often than just once, because we really need to get back into the remembering of who you are, the remembering of
Mhm.
what it's like to live a life for you instead of other people. And we all have these callings. We all have these times in our life where we lose track of time and space. And this is just one way to be able to activate that back. It's, as I was saying with you before we jumped on, it's not a learning and earning. All of the stuff that I think you and I both teach are not to say that this exists outside of you. It's to say that this is in you right now. And
Yeah.
that this is remembering to say, how do you feel? And what is it that you desire? And so, yeah, it's so powerful to watch people transform when they're working with me. Um, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there.
I love it. So you went from, being selling shampoos and hair dyes and hair color to now you are this beautiful, intuitive, mindful coach and changing people's life. And there's something you've mentioned about you knew you wanted to have a bigger impact. You knew you wanted to help even more people or in a deeper way. And one thing I'm finding in my clients or even just in the collective and it's kind of a running gag because I've been talking about the eclipse so much since it happened. I don't know what happened at me. It was like a lightning bulb. Like it just was so big in my body and my head. And so much has come up since, and I'm really picking it up in my clients, in particular, that I'm working in close proximity with. It's almost like it's just brought to the surface as we were talking, this duality of at like things are speeding up. So I know I want to have a bigger impact. I know I'm here for more. I remember there is something in me that remembers I'm supposed to be here to have a larger impact in this lifetime. Yet I'm stuck in what I think is the perfect life that I should be living, of what others think I should be doing. And so there's this duality of like dreams and opportunities and visions, almost like people are having visions, and the heaviness, the darkness, the reality of like, oh my gosh, I've let myself go. I've forgotten about myself for so long. I'm like, it's not even knee deep. I'm like neck deep into this life, and it's not me anymore. I know
Yes.
you've been seeing this too, right? It's like potent stuff. And I always say it's like it's now. Like I always say it's now, but now it's really now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the eclipse combined with what we just moved into with the full moon, where it was the pink moon that's in Scorpio right now, those two combined, most of us are feeling like our worlds are being rocked right now. And the things that we went for so long ignoring, we can no longer ignore. But I love that you bring up duality, because one of the most consistent tools that I talk about with my coaching and I see in us as humans right now is conditional versus unconditional love. So when
Mhm.
you say it's like this reality that comes in, right? This kind of weight, this darkness that comes in, and when you say, I know I want more, and then you have these visions of dreams, you can see the dance between conditional and unconditional. So you have the dreams of like, this is the impact I'm going to make. And you have this feeling that sparks inside of you. And so anyone listening right now, you might have felt that in the last month, especially with the eclipse and with the full moon. But then our programming, the judgment system, the ego
Yep.
brings in all the conditions as to how we can't, we won't, it will never, or if we do, here are all the things that it needs to look like in order for us to feel it. And that is something I know right now, without a doubt, is holding us back as a collective from stepping into our power, stepping into our greatness, and leading our life from our hearts and from our souls is
Mhm.
this condition. The conditions that say, as long as it looks this way, does this thing, I have this much, then I can jump, then I can do this thing. Or the conditions to say, here's all the things I need to get, and then I'm going to feel like I'm going to achieve this. But if it goes off this path, then I'm not enough, right? Then I'm not supposed to be doing this thing. So when I say that to you, like, and you kind of share a little bit about your last month, like what comes up as to like what you're noticing, because it's so vulnerable of you to share that, like the eclipse is rocking you. What
Mhm.
comes up in your mind right now is like, well, here's some conditions I'm having.
Mm. Okay, wait a minute. Um, for me, it's a lot of what came to the surface are, and it's very similar to your story in a way, it's gifts,
Mhm.
intuitive gifts that I didn't think were present or that I have been ignoring because since a very young age, I stepped into I've often share my when my brother was born, I was 5. He was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and nobody really knew at the time. It took a couple days, and then I just saw my parents crying all the time, nonstop, 24/7. And at 5, I decided nobody's crying anymore. We're gonna be happy. We're fixing this. So
Mhm.
I feel like I've shifted so early on into this, being responsible, taking the lead, making sure everybody's okay. And now I have this remembrance. It literally started the day of the eclipse. Like my crown chakra it was so painful. I had headaches and it just kept coming down. Like, are you going to finally admit it to yourself? That's kind of what I was hearing. Like, are you going to see it? Are you going to lean in? And it was just like, whoa, yes.
Yeah,
It,
I'm
it
showing
was,
Vanessa that I have chills because this is so, that's real. That's truth. And
oh,
you
I
heard
know. I know it's truth. And so I started taking action and leaning in towards that, but there's so many parts of me that are resisting, feeling like, is it safe to start doing this? Am I like, who am I to be doing this? Like, is this really real? And I know it's real because I've actually been using these gifts, but now they're ready to like 10x.
yes.
So that's what's been coming up for me. So it's not so much, and the darkness came up for me when I went and did a big retreat in Costa Rica in February. And I was like my head went right in there. It was like, huh, you think you're all light and, pink and rosy. No, no, no. Look at here. And it was actually so humbling for me to see how much darkness I was holding, but also at the same time realizing that through that darkness, that's where we plant seeds. Seeds grow in the dark. And
Yes.
that's where if I don't see my darkness, I can't appreciate my light. That was really what came out for me out of this experience.
I've had a similar experience before. And I think that, so to just kind of circle back to what you just shared and around how it draws in this conditional and unconditional love, you named the word imposter syndrome, right? So
Mhm.
I think that a lot of you that are listening that maybe have this spark in you that thinks like, well, who am I? Who am
Yeah.
I to do this thing? And then we go through all the conditions. Well, I can launch this course if I have this many clients. Well, I can do this thing on social media if I have this many followers. Well, I can quit my job and do this thing if I have X amount in my savings account, right? So I'm going to do all this stuff that I think I should be doing or that I should have or that I'm going to should all over myself to create all of these conditions that tells me whether or not it's safe to jump. And so you have, like, again, it comes in as a 10x, where you no longer can ignore it.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't hide from it anymore. And that's what's happening right now in the energetic collective field, is that we
Mhm.
can't ignore anymore our darkness and our light. And so once we start to remove the conditions and we look at life with unconditional love, and I always will try to encourage people to say, if your only job today was just to have fun, what would you do?
Mhm. Mhm.
Everything changes, right? Because you stop taking it so seriously. you remove all the conditions that you've been taught in the world, that you've been taught in this lifetime, and you have no more excuses to not trust yourself, to not listen to your intuition and to do the thing anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so powerful because what happens is the world, and right now I'll say to you, you're feeling this way, the world needs your greatness. There are human beings right now that are waiting for you to step into this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can trust that, whatever it is, if like, you know, it doesn't have to be like we don't have to be on this grand stage and talking to Oprah. Like it's we have to trust
Or
that our
maybe we can.
we can be, we absolutely can be, but and that so
I'm
anything is
kidding. I'm joking.
possible. Yeah, anything is possible. But if we don't believe that the impact that we're making and listening to the calling in our today, like in our community that we have today, matters as much as it does when you're on this grand stage talking to Oprah one day, we're missing the plot
Totally.
because
Exactly.
we're so stuck on the arrival of, I'll stop feeling like an imposter when I'm on this grand stage.
Yeah. And I always say it's actually not at all about the destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's only about the journey. It's actually the fun of going there, because right often when we get somewhere, we're like, oh, I thought that would be more exciting. I thought so it's really about the journey. Yeah. I love
Yeah,
this conditional, unconditional. It's so perfect.
yeah, because when I create a course, and I have a few different programs that are all self-led, and there's always that moment where I start to notice myself go, okay, I hope I sell this many. I hope I get this many spots. Okay, I hope I get this much. Yeah, if I get this, then I know it's a successful course. Okay, if I get this much feedback and if I get these kind of reviews, okay, then I'm gonna, and you have to pause and ask yourself, okay, what is your intention? Why am I creating this course?
Mm-hmm.
If I ask myself, okay, what is my intention behind this? Am I doing this from the highest source of love right now? Am I doing this from my highest self? Because I know that even if one person participates in this, it will make a difference in that being's life. That person out there is waiting for something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I measuring it based on the amount of people? Why
Yeah.
am I measuring it based on the amount of time? If this is actually really activating me, and that's when I get back into my heart, back into my soul, back into unconditional love and going like, I just want to get this out into the world. And
Yes.
whoever this lands upon, it matters.
Yes. Yeah, that's what happens when you start realigning. And, I often talk about realigning your gifts, or answering your soul's calling. And I know you use these terms too. And that's kind of how it feels. Often people are looking at me perplexed, being like, but what do you mean? Like, I earned this much money and I have all these benefits and I have 5 weeks vacation. Like, this is my calling. And I'm like, well, are you excited to wake up in the morning? Are you excited? Do you feel like you're helping people? Do you feel like you're having an impact? Do you feel like you're building your legacy right now? And then they're like, no. So when you are answering your soul's calling, it's exactly this. It's like you feel that even just if you were to help one person, you've made it. Like it's just such a different, it's really different. It lands completely differently in the body and in the heart primarily, right?
You've nailed it because I have this client who for years has shared with me that all she wanted to do was open up a flower shop. And she just can't, she'd walk by flower shops and she just felt this tug that she wanted to do it. But she was raised in a culture where mom and dad really wanted her to step into a finance role. She was very successful in finance and she felt like she needed to keep going in that because that's what she was taught. And she got a lot of praise and a lot of affirmation from doing the thing that she was told she was supposed to do. But when
Mm-hmm.
she leaned back, she recognized that she was living life for other people.
Yes.
And 6 months ago, she finally has stepped in to opening up her own flower shop.
Yay!
Now, did she quit her job that day and step away from finance? No, it was a bit of a slower move. And so in the last, I think recently she just left because she started to gain this confidence. But now she wakes up every single day happy. So that's why it's like, we don't need to, like some of you might be listening and going, I just have this tug that I want to start singing. I just had this tug that I want to start painting. I just had this
Exactly.
tug that I want to start to, step out into the forest once a week and like start, like, or lay down like in the like grass every single day and just look up and watch the clouds dance. We need to stop having this grand measurement to say, okay, well, what's my purpose? Like I need to do this big grand thing. Like you said, some people are saying I'm really happy. Great. But are you living your life for you? And are you living your life with intention and from a soul's calling to listen to the life that you really deeply love? And so if you're walking past a flower shop every single week and saying to yourself, I wish I had that thing. I wish I was doing that. And you light up every time, like sisters, this is the time to like,
Yes, this is it.
this is it.
And like, seriously, the eclipse has spoken. The
Yes.
whole frequency in the entire like of planet Earth are vibrating so high right now. You cannot deny it to yourself anymore. This is the thing that I'm picking up. It's like whatever you've been trying to like pretend is not there, whatever you've been trying to like hide away in a corner and be like, oh, I'll deal with that later. It's all coming up right now with a vengeance.
Yes, all of it is coming up right now because there's such an increase in heightened sensitivity. And that has a lot more to do with the pink moon in Scorpio, but the eclipse brings that all forward. And like I said, those two happening back to back is rocking us, but this is the time to be rocked. What a gift that we are no longer able right now as a collective to ignore this. Because if we all started to listen to our calls and did the thing that lights up our world with our presence, imagine a world like that. We are being taught to live from our ego's perspective, to live from the conditions. I'll give you one example that I will share in my more organizational workshops, but fashion is one example, right? So 10 years ago when we were like dressing up for our birthday and we thought we looked absolutely bomb, and then we now look back and we're like, what was I thinking? This is what I'm saying is like there's all these conditions that are thrown at us that tell us this is what's going to bring us joy, but you can't keep up with it. You can't, it's just this chase of like, when I get this thing, I'm going to feel this way, and it's temporary. So we're going after these temporary conditions to feel a certain way, but when we answer the call, our soul's perspective, and we listen to it, we stop ignoring those things. It's lifelong fulfillment.
Yeah, it all goes away. The shiny object goes away. Are you a woman entrepreneur with a real service to offer to the world, or an ambitious woman ready to build an authentic business around you and how you can impact the world? Or maybe a woman solopreneur tired of running in circle like a mad woman only to get okay results. If that's you, then let me tell you about FBiohacker, my high-level coaching program for women entrepreneurs that are ready to rise. Now, this is not your typical business coaching program. It is not your typical health coaching. It's a mix of spiritual, energetics, health, business, all the things. And it's so expensive. This is a very cutting edge coaching program designed over 12 months. And it's really there to support you with your big ambitions and help you put into the world to birth this new version of you with the support, the guidance, not only of myself, but also practical experts that are coming in the program to help you make sure that you are moving the needle. I also have this beautiful sisterhood, this beautiful community of women in there. It's so humbling to see the quality of the women in that program. I just love that space. Now, FBiohacker was really carefully crafted to enhance not only your health, but also amplify your business, your brand impact, all to help you access limitless success. Now, this is really for you if you're ready to level up not only your lifestyle, your brand, your values, but also attract your ideal clients by understanding the power of energetics and what you are calling into the world. If you're ready to shed and really shed light on your money story, your leadership, step back into your power, figure out what is your style, what is your real energy, your spirituality, what is your voice, and how can we do this, and how can we rise in a way that your nervous system feels supported, feels regulated, so that you can tap into infinite success. Because yes, my dear, that is your birthright. Now, if you're interested in hearing more about FBiohacker, it's simple. The link is in the bio. You can also just DM me for more information. This is by application only. We're a small group of powerhouses that are willing to disrupt how we do business, we level up brands in this market. It's about feminine energetics. It's about learning to really honor our voice and our authentic power. If that's you, DM me for more information or book your appointment for an application. And I cannot wait to help you rise. Let's do this. And, I often get the question, because the women that are here listening on this podcast are, high achieving women, ambitious women. They're like, they have big dreams. And often I hear, but how do I know what is my soul calling? Because when you've been in this hustle mode, when you've been kind of acting with a fair amount of disconnection from your body, and maybe even your body is starting to actually shut down itself, your nervous system, maybe there's dis-ease happening, maybe you have symptoms that are slowing you down, lack of energy, right? So you're like, it's very hard from that place to be like, okay, I hear you, Courtney and Vanessa, this sounds all great, but where the heck do I start? And how do I know what is my soul's calling? Like, I know it can feel a bit daunting and overwhelming. So what do you usually say to that?
Yeah, that is such a relatable thing, I think, for a lot of listeners right now. There is so much noise in the world, and often at times we are living on autopilot, right? Our lives are so full, and we wake up in the morning with what I call productivity debt. So we open our eyes and
We're already behind.
We're already behind. Here's all the things I need to do today. And if I check off all of these things and I make sure that, this is all completed, then I'm going to feel in purpose, and I'm going to feel productive, then I'm going to feel successful, worthy, and enough in the world. So if you relate to just that, let's just start there to say, whoa, I wake up and I think of all the things I need to achieve in order to feel a certain way. That's a beautiful gateway to just stop and pause and ask yourself, well, what is it that you want to feel? What right now is a desire for you of how you want to feel? And are you searching for those things outside of yourself? Right? So you're saying to yourself, when that thing happens that exists outside of me, then I'm going to feel that way. One example I hear a lot from people who are moms will say to me, like, when my kids are happy, I feel like I'm a good mom, right? Can you feel like a good mom when your kids are having a meltdown in the middle of a grocery store? Can you? I don't know. Like, that's something that we have to get really clear on what it is that we want to feel. Once we set an intention as what it is that we want to feel, we have to allow ourselves to notice when those moments come in our day. So one time I remember I set an intention. I did like a little question box on social media, and I said, I'll go first, like, as in, like, what do you want to feel today? I said, I want to feel playful. And I truly was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, maybe later today I'll take my kids to the park and, like, I'll just swing on the swings. Maybe I'll even take a video of me swinging on the swings to show I am being playful. Okay, so I pick up the kids from school. I quickly take them to the grocery store, and my kids are laughing together. They're 3 and 6. They're boys. They're just running around, and they start taking banana bread and, like, football throwing it across the way, okay? And they're, like, laughing, having fun. And I literally looked up at the world, at our universe, and I was like, not what I meant about being playful. Like, no, I'm not gonna fucking be playful about this. This is not okay. And so I'm, like, pissed. But here's the thing. Like whatever it is that you want to feel, can you look at everything as an invitation to feel that way? That it's always accessible to you. So I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to try to work this muscle and bring joy into this moment. Obviously, I have to stop my kids from chucking banana bread across the grocery store, but it's just to say that like there's all these moments in your life to activate the feeling that you really seek.
Yes.
What happens when you start to activate the feeling that you really seek is that you start to notice how you're living your life on feelings that you don't want anymore. Like you mentioned the burnout, you mentioned the dis-ease. What happens is you can no longer ignore when you're out of alignment.
Yep.
So again, you have these really busy lives, you are feeling like you're just this high level achiever. And if you start to ask yourself, well, how is it that I feel? You might actually have some of those feelings already in your life. Wonderful. Celebrate them, notice them. And then you're going to not be able to ignore the times when you don't. The other tool I want to touch on, because I think it's just accessible, is I always will say move in some way, write in some way, and breathe in some way. Breathe intentionally in some way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't put a number on it. Don't tell yourself that you have to do each thing for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. It's just access these three things because we have to find a way to get quiet. It works for me to do it in the morning. So I walk my dog in the morning. I'll do a little bit of a movement practice. I'll do a journal practice, and I'll always do a meditation of some sort of intentionally breathing. Yesterday, it was like a 60-minute thing that I did. Today, I actually shared on social media that like I only had time to do a 3-minute meditation, a 5-minute little quick core exercise thing I did, and then I journaled one thing that I was grateful for. Today, I'm grateful for this. That was it. And that was an under 10-minute situation. Did it, of course I like the longer ones, but do they all matter? Yes. So find time to get quiet, ask yourself intentionally how you want to feel, and then start to notice when you're leading your life in ways that aren't actually activating the feeling that you want, the way that you want to live.
Mm-hmm. It's a muscle.
It's a muscle. Yes.
It's hard at first. It's hard at first because we get pulled back into these old patterns and habits, and again, the should haves and the thoughts and it's really breaking free. It's the liberation, the freedom that comes from actually deciding to live the life for you, right? We were talking about this. When you decide to live, to be here and be like, what do I want to do? What do I want to feel like? And not what I should feel like. What should I dress like today? What would get attention? It's like, no. What are you vibing? Like, what is it that you want to do? And that's how through working that muscle, and I don't know if you agree with that, but that's how I was able to find myself back anyway. It was just through these tiny intentional, like stopping myself in my track and wait, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're going back to the heart. What do I
Yes.
want? Yes.
My community is probably who's listening right now is laughing because they know I always talk about building heart muscles because we can wrap our head around building a bicep.
Yes.
And if you were to say, if a client were to say, Vanessa, teach me how to build a bicep, you'd be like, okay, well, for 10, 20, 30 minutes a day, you're going to do this thing. And over time, you're going to see this bicep is going to come. But you also understand that if you stopped working that out, it would go away, it would disappear. And also, if you were to say this to Vanessa, you wouldn't expect that bicep would build over the next day.
Yes.
These are heart muscles. If you want to learn to be calm, you have to work at being calm for 10, 20, 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Over time, it's going to become more comfortable. And I want to say, because you said the word should, there's two words I always like you to notice in your language. When you say the word should and need. Okay, so when you say should or need, what it tells you energetically, you're actually sending a message, a vibration out that you're lacking, that you're not enough. So you can change your word from should to could, and you change your word from need to want, or need to desire, right? I desire to dress this way today. I could dress this way today. You don't should all over yourself. You just change the language to what you can do, what you desire to do, what you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one I love is I get to.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. because
I
it
get
shifts into a bit more grounded in gratitude also for what we have. Because sometimes we also forget that very easy step. Often I have clients that are like, they find they're not generating enough money and it's not quick enough, yet they are surrounded by abundance that's like streaming from all angles and they're not even noticing it. Right. And it's like, well, of course the universe is not going to throw more at you. You're not even noticing what you have. Right.
Yes, yes, yeah. I will say to clients who are having a struggle with abundance, every time that you notice something come through. So this could be you catching a gorgeous sunset or finding a dime on the street. You look up and you say, "Thank you, more please." You
Mm-hmm.
have to notice it. Thank yourself, your energies, your spirits, your guides, your universe, God, and say, "Thank you, more please."
Mm-hmm.
And then ask for more. Receive it. Because if we
Exactly.
don't notice what's around us right now, how are we ever going to take in what becomes bigger and greater?
And maybe we can just finish on that, but it's crazy how it sounds so simple. And
Hmm.
I find that that's where my client has the most actually resistance is it feels too simple. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, do you think I'm not intelligent? Do you think I would have not tried that before? And it's like, well, I know it sounds too simple, but it's really what our soul is craving, actually. Less is more. And it's going back to basics and going back to our intuition and our remembrance, going back to the things that are of resonance also. But right, it's like, especially when we've been used to this hustle hamster wheel, it's like if it doesn't come with a protocol, if it doesn't come with like a step by step, it can't be legit.
Yes, I think you've nailed it. Is that it is so simple. Most people who are coming close to the end of their life, those like within hours of knowing that it's coming to an end, is often what they'll say. It's
Hmm.
all so simple because we are wrapped up in these conditions.
Yeah.
And the world, the economy wants us that way because otherwise, I think if we weren't, then we wouldn't consume as much.
No,
Try to
exactly.
simplify it that much. So we think these things that are outside of us are going to bring us this joy. And if we get this new shiny object, we're going to feel a certain way. So it is so simple. And I know, I understand it sounds elementary, but because this is a remembering, right? We'll go back to that. This is a remembering. So when you think of yourself as this young child before all of, I resist to use the word programming, but that's essentially what it is. It's this judgment system that gets
Yeah.
instilled in us. Before that, life was quite simple. And you see these children who are full of so much bountiful, beautiful joy. And we actually were those kids one day, right?
Hmm.
So even though I know it sounds simple, I know it sounds elementary, if just for a moment, if you are actually right now listening and feeling a little bit of resistance, if you can just bring a little bit of softness and surrender to your heart and go, okay, maybe if just for a day I allow myself to trust the simplicity of this and then reflect at the end of the day, how did I feel? What changed? What did I notice? What felt really true? You're the one who's going to feel it. You're the one who's going to know it. And so you have to start to really trust yourself and that our thoughts make it super complicated. Living from our head, our condition, and our ego is what complicates it. You living and activating from your heart, it does simplify it. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yes, life can be
Hmm.
so beautiful if we allow it. I'll end with how, heaven is here.
Totally.
Yeah,
Oh my
heaven is
gosh.
here. Heaven is here on this planet. It's on this earth, and you have to let it in. I had this client who actually, no, it was a girl in an organization when I asked the team about what is mindfulness? Why does it matter? And she raised her hand and she said, one thing I notice is that when I'm practicing being more mindful, I always notice my garden. I always will notice like my flowers or my trees. Like I don't know why. And I said, well, here's the thing. Your garden is always there. It's just like that's the simplicity of it, right? Heaven is here. You have to, your garden's always there. It's up to you to notice it. It's up to you to activate this part of you, build that muscle to say, even in times of difficulty, can I activate this power of choice to still see the garden? Can I still see the beauty of this life?
Mm-hmm. Love it. Beautiful. Oh, deep breath. And if you felt triggered during this conversation, it's because you were meant to be here and hearing this. It's because you
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. There might be some moments of this conversation where you're activating deep curiosity. So I'm glad it sparked something in you if it did, and sit with it for a bit. Journal it, get your pen out. Just allow yourself to really sit in stillness as to what this really means, or listen to this maybe a couple times over to really see what it really felt like for you. But I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Because I know they're going to be curious.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so my social handles are all under the Bodhi Effect. So that's BODHI effect with an E, and also my website, thebodhieffect.com. And as I mentioned as well, I have a mindfulness app, and that's just also under any of your platforms of the Bodhi Effect as well. So that's essentially my business. And if you have any questions, I'm just a DM or an email away. And I love to just hear from people and just hear about their expansion. So whether or not you feel aligned to work with me or not, but it's just so beautiful to hear people's transformation. And if this sparks something in you.
Yeah, beautiful. I will put all these links in the show notes so it's an easy grab away. And thank you for this beautiful conversation. I know we will. More to
We
come. More to come.
We need to cross deeper paths, more to come. I know. I feel like there's just, yeah, you're such a light, and I'm so grateful to have connected with you. So thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you. More to emerge. Mwah.
Yeah,
See you
thank you.
soon. Bye. The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.